to start?
Me? You tell me, you're the boss. Go. Somebody said you'd be timing me. Hi folks, my name's Ivy Winkler. I'm with Charlotte County Veteran Services. I have no slides and no projector. So we're just gonna wing it like we do in the military most days. How many of you have been to our office, either off of Loveland Boulevard or in Inglewood? Whoa. So that means I have a room full of people that don't know about the benefits that are available to them. And that happens really quite often. We've got folks that come from other states that maybe don't have county veteran services offices, or maybe thought that once they got out of the military, that was it, no benefits. So my job as a county veteran services officer is to connect you with your earned benefits, okay? Anybody that does the type of job that I do in veteran services, we have to be veterans. So I've been through what you've been through. Boot camp, training, traveling the world, seeing all the great sights that are out there. So we understand some of the pitfalls of government bureaucracy, right? We're there to be your liaison, right? We're the liaison between you and the VA. We're here to help you understand what your benefits are now, what they might be in the future. Is anybody in the VA system, right? VA healthcare, getting VA benefits. Okay, so most people aren't aware of this, but the VA is broken up into different agencies, right? So you've got veteran benefits, veteran healthcare, veteran cemetery administration. They're all part of the VA, but they don't always communicate with each other. So just because you're in one system doesn't mean you're in the other. Just because you're getting VA healthcare doesn't mean that VA Veteran Benefits Administration knows that you're out there, knows that you might have some kind of disability, okay? So that's the first thing that we want to make sure that you're aware of, is that there are different agencies, and that if you want to communicate with any of them, you can come and see us in County Veteran Services, and we can give you instruction on how to do that. We do everything from enrolling you in VA healthcare if you're eligible, to applying for VA disability benefits if you're eligible, to applying for a VA pension if you're eligible. So I'll go over some general information about VA healthcare while I'm waiting for my slides to come up. So VA healthcare, unlike what your recruiter may have told you when they were trying to sign you up for the military, when you get out of the service, you are not automatically eligible for VA healthcare. You're not. There's certain eligibility criteria that you have to meet. It's different for everybody. Just because your golfing buddy gets VA healthcare and free hearing aids, it doesn't mean that you're eligible either. But if you want to know if you are, you can give us a call, right? Even if you've been told in the past that you weren't eligible, give us a call. We may be able to find some eligibility for you. Maybe 10 years ago, you were over the asset limit for VA healthcare. Fun fact, VA doesn't have an asset limit anymore. So if you were over the assets back then, you might be eligible now, okay? There's an income limit. Well, you might see on paper that you're over that income limit, but you need to realize that the VA spends your income down using medical expenses. So we can work with you to see what kind of medical expenses you have that recur every month. Maybe we can get you below that income limit and help you get eligible for VA healthcare, okay? So we work in that little gray area that you may not be able to see on that piece of paper that you get, all right? So give us a call. The next thing we do is VA disability benefits. So the majority of people in the military have had some type of high-frequency noise exposure, right? We shoot weapons in basic training. Sometimes we go off to tech school or AIT, and we shoot weapons every day. Maybe you were infantry. Maybe you were working on helicopters. Maybe you worked as a jet engine mechanic. Maybe you were in the motor pool. Think of all the noises that you were exposed to in the military. Maybe that caused hearing loss. Maybe that caused tinnitus or ringing in your ears, right? If we can connect that to service, you have a disability benefit right there. So most people think, oh, I didn't get shot. I didn't, break my leg. My back is fine. Think about the other little things that may have happened in service. And if you can't think of anything, come and see us in our office. We can think of something, right? We can. Some other things that you may not realize can be service connected. If you currently have a disability, say you have 10% service connected disability for your knees, 10% service connected disability for your back, maybe you have plantar fasciitis or bunions, I don't know. I call it death by 1,000 paper cuts. Everything hurts the minute you wake up. What does that do? It puts you in a bad mood, right? It's that whole person concept that we all think about nowadays. So if you have 3 or 4 disabilities that you're service connected for, think about a mental health claim, right? Think about a mental health claim because everything's connected from your feet to your knees to your back to your brain, okay? If your quality of life is being disabled by your service-connected issues, come see us. We can take a look at what you got going on and see if there's a claim there, okay? So the majority of people that we're talking to today, we're here for a senior care conference. So I'm going to spend the majority of our time talking about VA pensions, even though my stuff isn't up yet. I've given this enough so I can give some general information. I'm going to grab my little pension sheet here, though. None of my slides are on this computer. He just whispered in my ear.
Yes, I know.
It's okay. It's okay. So, VA pension is based on low income. It is not an entitlement. I get a lot of folks in my office get really, really mad when I tell them, you're over assets. You have too much assets, right? You did the right thing. You saved all your money. And now, because you're over $130,000 in assets, you're not eligible for a pension. Sorry. Or that they're over income. They don't have enough medical expenses. You're not eligible for a pension yet. It's not an eligibility like a disability that you incurred in the line of duty. You do have to meet income, asset, and medical expense limits, okay? And we can help discuss that. The hard limit right now for the VA is $130,773, okay? Well, there are certain eligibility criteria for that, and it depends on when you were in the military. Generally, back before 1980, you would have had to have been in for 90 days with 1 day of wartime service. And I've had people that meet that 1 day of wartime service. They were in right before the war ended, right? Or right after the war started, and they meet those criteria. And if you're not really sure if you're a wartime veteran, you can give us a call. Or I have these little sheets here that go over the wartime benefits. So World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf War, those types of wartime services, you would have to be in the middle there. Peacetime, the 80s, late 70s, there would be no pension eligibility, unfortunately. Okay. So basically, this pension, or as a lot of people call it, aid and attendance, right? How many of you have heard of aid and attendance? Everybody. Okay. Aid and attendance is there for folks who require the aid and attendance of others, right? You meet the requirements, you have the low assets. I'm not really going to go over the income limits because income can be spent down using monthly medical expenses. So what are your monthly medical expenses? Medicare premiums, United Healthcare, whatever your supplemental insurance premium is, right? Known monthly medical expenses. If you are living with a family member that's providing you care, that's a monthly medical expense. It's hard to think of a family member as a medical expense, but if you didn't have family in this area to live with, where would you be? Who would you be paying, right? So think of it that way. So I can use family members as a monthly medical expense. A life alert bracelet. I can't really use prescriptions as a monthly medical expense because sometimes they change, right? But if you're moving into assisted living, that's a monthly medical expense. That spends people down pretty quick, right? Sometimes to zero. Well, if that's the case, if your income gets spent down below what's called the maximum allowable pension rate, the VA will reimburse you up to whatever that pension rate is. So for a surviving spouse, a monthly reimbursement is up to $1,244. That's life-changing for some people, right? It's about $1,900 for a single veteran, about $2,200 for a veteran and their spouse. So if you've got high monthly medical expenses every month, you may qualify for this benefit, all right? If you're paying somebody like one of those wonderful care agencies that were over there, if you're paying them on a monthly basis for help with dressing, bathing, eating, walking, using the restroom, you may be able to use those expenses for aid and attendance for a reimbursement, okay? So I know it seems confusing. I know you've probably seen those websites or gotten those emails or something about how you may be eligible for VA benefits. Number one thing, keep in mind, if somebody's reaching out to you, it's not free. It's not free, right? When was the last time you got a call from me? Never. You don't. You don't have to pay for this type of assistance because I'm already getting paid for it, right? I'm your taxpayer dollars at work. I work for Charlotte County. They pay me out of your taxes, so use me. Come to our office, right? We have other service officers that can help you if I'm not available. We take appointments. We go over the whole list of things that you would need in order to file for the benefit. So obviously, because it's a federal benefit, we want to verify that the income you say you have. So we'll get copies of Social Security statements and bank statements. Before we file a claim for you, you'll know whether or not you're eligible, right? We'll be able to go through everything. My office is on Loveland. If you didn't get one of these sheets, I'll give you one outside the room here. Everyone knows where Loveland is, right? It's over by Peachland, by the Peach Club. And we also have an Inglewood office too. So, because I don't have my screen here and the whole spiel and everything, and I'm sure people came here because they have questions. Do I have any questions? Yes, ma'am. So almost every county in the state of Florida has a service office like ours, right? So there's some great service officers in Sarasota. There's some great service officers in Lee County. We meet as an association of service officers twice a year and do training, okay? We're fully accredited with the American Legion, the DAV, the Florida Department of Veterans Affairs. And the great thing about what we do is we can access your claim with the VA system. Attorneys can't do that, right? Advocates, the American Legion, the people that volunteer, they can't do that. If somebody can't access your claim and tell you where it is and what's happening with it, run the other way. Seriously, because you want to know what's going on. I'm sure some of you have heard the horror stories that they take 12 months or they take forever or they're just waiting for you to die. That's not the case, right? It's really not. And, I've been doing this for about 10 or 11 years. Maybe back then it was a lot more difficult, but now the majority of people that are getting these claims from people like me at the VA, they're disabled veterans themselves, right? They want to help. They want to do what they can. So the best thing for you to do is use an accredited service officer who can do it the right way the first time, who can access it and assist you the best way possible, right? So do I have any other questions? More questions? Yes, hi. So the question was, if you want to be buried at the National Cemetery in Sarasota, where do you go, basically? Well, if you're doing pre-planning, you can let the funeral home know where you would like to be buried. Make sure they have a copy of your discharge, and they'll make sure you get where you need to go. You can be buried at any national cemetery in the country, right? Wherever you want to go, you can go. As a veteran with a discharge, there are certain eligibility criteria, honorable discharge, things like that. But you can be buried wherever you want. We don't take care of those arrangements at the county office, but we can point you in the right direction, right? And as soon as you get across the gates to the National Cemetery, everything from then on is free. Whatever you need done, that's all free. Yes, sir. Yes. it includes the spouse. Yep. And you can be, yep, they're floating around here somewhere, and I'll make sure you get one. Yeah, yep. Any healthcare questions? VA healthcare questions? Yes, ma'am. So our office does not provide those services, but if that person needs help, if we have somebody that's lost and says, mom needs help, dad needs help, or I need help, what do I do? We can point people in the right direction. We partner with so many great care agencies. Some people that aren't eligible for VA, which does provide home health care. If they don't get that service, we can point them in the right direction for the area agency on aging or with a care placement agency. Obviously, we can't send you to a for-profit agency like some of these folks, but a care agency can, right? Yeah. The VA is not here today, but if somebody has a specific VA question, we can point them in the right direction. Yep. So we deal with the VA on a regular basis. We VA healthcare with the clinic, with their social workers who are really, really great. We're lucky here in Charlotte County to have such good staff. Yes, ma'am. 10 whole minutes? Wow. I know. Well, I was hoping they'd fix my slides by then. Yes, ma'am. Cemetery, sure. Mhm. There was a fire at the National Personnel Records Center in 1973. Millions of records were burned. Mhm. So there's a lot of people that are having difficulty, especially now after the coronavirus, with finding their records. So there's actually a really cool program at the library system where they talk about ancestry and genealogy, and I'll explain that in a minute. But basically, if you don't have your discharge, there's a couple of ways to get it. Obviously, if you've ever filed a claim with the VA, we would be able to access it in our office and get it to you, right? If you've never filed a claim with the VA, but you've come to see us in our office, we keep discharges on file for 7 years. So if you've ever brought it to us, we'll keep it for you. If you want to bring it to us and you've never been there and you just want us to hold it for you, right, in case there's a fire or a hurricane or a natural disaster. Charlotte County has different servers around the country. So if this server gets flooded, our stuff is duplicated somewhere else. So it's a good idea to keep it on file with us. If the VA doesn't have it, if we don't have it, the next step is the National Personal Record Center, okay? NPRC in St. Louis has been closed since March of last year. They have not stopped receiving requests, though. So if you filed for your DD 214 today, you would have to wait behind a year and a half worth of people. They have mobilized the National Guard, I think, or the reserves to come and backfill and help because it's a repository of paper. It's a huge repository of paper in St. Louis that takes physical people to grab the record, scan it into the system, and then fax it to you or mail it to you, okay? On top of that, in 1973, there was a fire which destroyed millions of records, mostly Army, right, from the Civil War on. So if you've requested your records and they say, oh, sorry, it was burned up, there's a couple other options. And we want you to think outside the box, and we can usually help do this too. Wherever you or the veteran, their home of record was when they separated, that home of record usually gets a discharge from the Department of Defense. So if you're having trouble finding your discharge, where did you separate? Where was that home of record, right? Where did they grow up? See if that town has the discharge, okay? There's another option. It's called Fold 3. It's like an offshoot of Ancestry.com. Fold 3 has a lot of military records. They have deck logs, and if you're a military buff, Fold 3 is such a cool thing, and I believe that the library has a license with Fold 3 where you don't have to pay for it. So if you have a library card in Charlotte County, I would ask them. And I think the libraries have been open for a while. I think they have Ancestry and Fold 3 licenses, so you could ask them. The Fold, FOLD3.com. You do have to pay for it if you. No, I think it's just the number 3, Fold 3. Yep, and they have tons and tons of military records on there. They even have, like when you go through boot camp, you get a yearbook after boot camp. They have copies of that for certain people too. Yeah, it's really neat. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So for really specific stuff like that, if you want to give us a call, we can see what we can do. I hate to say no. I hate to say all is lost. And so before we do that, just come and meet with us about, really specific stuff. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so aid and attendance is based on income, assets, and medical expenses. So Medicaid, that waiver, it just pays for some of those expenses, but that doesn't wipe all of the expenses out, right? Now, if they're on full Medicaid, if somebody's on full Medicaid in a nursing home, which isn't any of you in here, then aid and attendance, if they're already receiving it, goes down to $90, or if they were to apply, it's $90 because Medicaid pays for everything else. A skilled nursing facility, like a nursing home, full Medicaid, nursing homes cost like $10,000, $9,000, something crazy like that. So Medicaid pays for everything. That $90 from the VA, that's for incidentals, a haircut, some candy, stuff like that. Yeah, so and I can actually give you my Grammy was on a Medicaid waiver. She had really low income, and she was receiving aid and attendance as well because whatever medical expenses were left, even after Medicaid paid, took all of her income, right? So yeah, it's just if you take out the thought of that Medicaid waiver, it's still just income and medical expenses. They have a question? Oh. I'm either hearing things or I'm okay. I do though. I have really bad tinnitus. I have ringing in my ears. So sometimes it's like a jet engine is coming from like behind my head. And I know I'm not alone in that feeling in here for sure. Does anybody have any disability questions? Do I have any Vietnam veterans in here? Anybody that was exposed to Agent Orange, right? So my slide presentation had the whole list of presumptive conditions on there, and there's a bunch that I can barely read it, and I definitely I can't say it. But some new ones on there that were just added recently are bladder cancer, hypothyroidism, and Parkinsonism. So if you're a Vietnam veteran and you get in the shakes, but you can't get a diagnosis, because Parkinson's is one of those things that is sometimes like the process of elimination. Well, wouldn't it be nice while they're eliminating all that other stuff if they gave you something? Well, now that's what they're going to do. If you get a Parkinsonism before Parkinson's, you can file a claim for that, right? And then bladder cancer, obviously, if you have bladder cancer, they've added that to the Agent Orange list. If you've had anyone in your family that has passed away from any of those conditions or a presumptive condition, that surviving spouse may be eligible for benefits, okay? So just because that person may no longer be here, those benefits are there for them, all right? So if anybody falls into that situation, please give us a call and we can help. On one of my other slides, we had something about Camp Lejeune. So if I have any Marines or Navy Seabees in here, there's a list of presumptive conditions from exposure to Camp Lejeune water. Is that my buzzer? I'm done? I can still answer other questions outside though. So we can give you the list outside of issues, and if you want to go over that, we can talk about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any type of presumptives for there? It was a great presentation. Thank you.